right. Hey, I want to fix a bug in Firefox Preview today. Firefox Preview is our new Android browser that eventually is going to replace Firefox for Android. And let me show you the bug. That's a bug. Phoenix reloads every page after being backgrounded. And let me show you the issue on emulator here. And that's, by the way, a new version of Android Studio where you can integrate the emulator into Android Studio, and it's super awesome. And let's see how well this is going to work. So I go to YouTube and I click on one of the links. Okay, that's a live event, that's not helpful. And ignore the video content, like if you are not logged in to YouTube, it will show you the worst of the web. Okay, so we have a video we paused at 9 minutes 29. I create a new tab that links to, let's say, Wikipedia. And I switch back to the YouTube tab. You see we are still at 9 minutes 29 seconds. Go back to Wikipedia, go to the home screen and back to the app, and then switch to YouTube. Surprise, the tab reloaded. That shouldn't happen. And underneath Firefox Preview, there are our Android components, and that's what you can see here in Android Studio, like thousands or more like 50, 60 Android modules that are shipped as standalone libraries and that are used to build browsers like Firefox Preview. So the bug is probably in those components, because the components are responsible to know which kind of tab is currently open, and also are responsible for saving and restoring the state of those tabs. And here something is definitely going wrong. And to make it easier to work with those components, we have a sample browser app that lives in the SAM repository as the components. And if we can reproduce this issue here, then we at least know it's not in Phoenix, it's only here in our components. And let's try this too. And I clicked on the live event just one more time. Okay, this video doesn't play for some kind of reason. Okay, here's a video. Let's fast forward. 2 minutes and 17. Okay. And now I accidentally reloaded the tab myself. That's not something we want to do. Okay, 1 minute 32. A new tab, go to Wikipedia. Okay, my keyboard mouse stopped working, but only backspace stopped working. Okay, I can't make mistakes anymore. Wikipedia, I go back to the YouTube tab and we are 1 minute 32. Okay, that looks good. Back to the home screen, back to the app, tab. Okay, same issue. We are back at the beginning. Okay, so at least we know it's in the components. When I saw this bug, I had two ideas where the issue could be. So Session Manager has one new method that we added a couple of weeks ago, I guess, on trim memory. So if there are a bunch of tabs open and Android tells us that it's running low on memory, we try to save the state of some tabs and close the tabs inside the browser engine, basically. And whenever the user switches back to such a tab, we restore the state. So there could be an issue here. Or could also be that we maybe reload the tab or load the URL again instead of actually restoring the state. Those are two things. that we could investigate. And then we switch back to the browser. Like here, one user gave us a great hint that the Phoenix Nightly build from the 3rd of May did not have this issue. So if we don't find anything here, then we can always try bisecting, and hopefully this will point us to the commit that broke it. But since that is kind of painful, we have, I guess in a repository, we have like 10, 15, 20 commits a day, and we have the 12th, so basically we need to go like over 1 week, maybe 2 weeks. That's a bunch of things to bisect, so maybe we can find it instead of bisecting. So I guess one simple approach is, let's just comment out all the memory handling. And I wonder how fast Gradle is actually going to be while streaming. I expect it's going to be even slower. To be honest, I'm still surprised that Android Studio is able to handle like 50, 60 modules. It definitely didn't do that in the beginning. I remember projects with like 5 modules and Android Studio would be unusable. So it's much better now. Okay, let's try this again. Minutes, 13 seconds. Let's go to Wikipedia. Okay, this kind of worked. Awesome. So it looks like it's this bug is somewhere caused by our memory handling, which means we should get into this function whenever we background the app. Let's actually try to use the debugger. And to be honest, I almost never use the debugger. I always use log statements for those things, but I feel like that is probably not easy to pull off on the stream. I'm only using a very small part of my screen that I share. Make sure it's readable. I hope it's readable. Okay, yeah, we actually run into this with level 20. Actually wondering level 20 is trim memory UI hidden. Okay, so I guess my first confusion is why we would need to do anything at all. But if I look at the numbers here, we start closing session if we are at level critical, and critical is actually lower than UI hidden. So whenever the UI of the app is hidden, Android seems to really want us to get rid of some memory usage. Anyhow, that's not important for the bug. Like, even if if that might be too aggressive. Even then it should work. So now I wonder what's going wrong. Probably either we are not keeping the state or we are not correctly restoring the state or losing it somewhere. We fixed a similar issue some time ago. Where did we fix that? That was also in Session Manager. Let's see, I think we wrote a test for that. Maybe I can find the test. Thank you. So the test we wrote should be somewhere over here. Yeah, we had a bug that if we trimmed memory twice or ran on trim memory twice, that we on the second run remove the state. Which can look like exactly like this bug, but this one is fixed and there's a test making sure we don't regress that. I'm just wondering what the fix was. I wrote the patch and I don't remember. Oh, okay. Actually, this if statement was the fix. So what's happening under the hood is every tab in the browser is a session, and every session can have an engine session. A session is the data model that we use in the UI and where the current state of the tab is in, like which URL, which title, and so on. And the engine session is the actual session inside Gecko, the browser engine. So we always have sessions in memory that represent our tabs, but engine sessions can come and go. And when we decide to close the sessions of all tabs except the tab we are currently displaying, in this situation we save the current state and we call unlink, which is, I guess, a fancy way to say we set all the references to null, to the engine session and so on, and then we will close the engine session. We still have the state that we saved, and then we set the state on it. And the next time we want to render this session, we can restore the state. And I think what we could try is go to get or create engine session. So whenever anything in the code needs the engine session of a tab, it usually calls this method get or create engine session. And then we either return the one we already have, or we will create one on the fly. And whenever we do this, we also look at the state and see, do we actually have a state? And if we do, then we restore the state, and then we link, which means we set the references on the session that point to this engine session, basically. So I guess one interesting bit to know is once we create this engine session, it seems like we create a new one in this bug. I think it's interesting to know whether we have a state or not. And now I'm going to use a log statement instead of the debugger. Okay, since we have multiple tabs, let's look at the hello autocomplete. Let's look at the URL and oh, probably didn't work because broken code. Great. And then let's see if we have a state here. Engine session holder. This one holds all the references to engine stuff if it's around. And let's see if this is not null. Yeah. I usually read my logs outside of Android Studio, so let's try this too. Okay, and let's run this. Okay, cool. So we can see we created the first engine session for YouTube, and we had a state. And let's see, maybe it's actually nicer to have the log here. I haven't done this in a while. Where's this tab here? Okay, and we switch to Wikipedia and price. We created another one, and now when we switch tabs, we won't create a new one, a new engine session, because there's already one for all of them. Okay, let's start this video again. Okay, 2 minutes 17. Switch tabs, all good. The background, still everything is fine. Go back to the app. Wikipedia was our foreground tab, so it was never, the state was never saved and restored. We just kept it. And now we switch over to YouTube. Okay, what's interesting is we actually created a new session and we have a state, so that should have been restored. So it's also possible that we restored and then immediately did another load of the page. So I wonder if I press back, maybe there's too much in the back state already. Let's get rid of this tab and add some fresh tabs. Okay, we go to YouTube and we go to Wikipedia, to YouTube. Oops, something went wrong. Interesting. We Oh, the default homepage of YouTube is like really weird. I clicked on the live event again. Does this still work when you clear Firefox from memory? The restoring of the state should still work. And we could also try that and see if it has the same bug. In theory, it should also restore, and we should still be at the same in the same state in the tab. So 1 minute 58. This is all fine. A background while the tab is in the foreground is fine too. We switch to Wikipedia, we see the same thing, we restore. Let's do this with YouTube. Okay, the thing I'm curious about now is if I press back, where do we end up? Okay, on the previous video. So it doesn't look like we actually loaded the page again, because otherwise I would have expected that back brings us back to the page again and then to the page we were on before. Let's close those tabs again and see if the same thing happens when we close the app. YouTube. To Wikipedia. Go back to YouTube. Okay, same issue. Wait, I think I forgot to actually close the app, did I? Okay, 2 minutes 57. Wikipedia. Back, YouTube. To Wikipedia. Background. Close the app. Open the app. To YouTube. Yeah, same issue. Okay. So we know we restore. And then we call into link. And link will add the engine session. It will give us an observer to data state in the session. And either if we didn't restore or if we explicitly did not say to skip loading, we will load. Okay. Just for completeness, let's log those two and see if they look like what we expect. Okay, we want to know whether session restored and we want to know if we skipped loading. And let's go back to the session manager. Whenever we create the session, let's also log whether skip loading is set. Okay, let's create some completely new tabs. We create a tab that points to YouTube. Okay, we don't restore, we don't skip loading, makes sense. Create a new tab that is currently pointing to about blank. No restore, no skip loading. Let's play some video. YouTube. Try not. Okay. 55 seconds. Wikipedia. Back to YouTube. So we created a new session. It has a state. We don't want to skip loading. And then inside the linker, you see session was restored and we don't want to skip loading. Yeah, that looks exactly like what we expect to see here. We restore the state. We'll remove the state, we'll link. Okay. Actually, since the same bug is happening when we close the app, I'm wondering if this is also fixed if we comment out the memory handling, what we did in the beginning, like on trim memory. Completely remove that. That fixed the bug. Let's deploy that. Play video. Six seconds. Go to Wikipedia. Background app. We go back. YouTube. So that is fixed. Now if we back. Now go to YouTube. Okay, so this page is still back to the original state. Which I guess means that the bug is not in the on-trim memory itself. So open a terminal. Let's get rid of all this stuff. Let's try something else. The bug did not happen in Phoenix from the 3rd of May. Let's go to the Android components repository, go to the commits, and check out an earlier state and see if this actually fixed the issue in the sample browser too. So if this was fixed or still worked in Phoenix from the 3rd, then maybe let's pick Android components version from the 2nd May, like this one. And then let's use that one. Okay. Let's Gradle sync. Yeah, that's a super slow Gradle sync. Okay, looks like it needs to download an older version of at least the Gecko view dependency. That could take some seconds. Yeah, waiting for Gradle. I guess while Gradle is syncing, I could scroll through the commits here and see maybe I can and something related. That might have caused this or not. Echo view update. This is where we introduce the on-trim memory. Still a strong candidate, even though the method itself didn't cause it. Okay, Gradle is ready. Yeah, let's get rid of the tabs. And then let's deploy a new version. Question: why can't we request desktop pages on a page basis? It's only no page or all pages. You mean if I'm on a tab and I go to the menu and select desktop side, then it's enabled for this tab, and what you actually want is to say, hey, I want to visit Wikipedia in desktop mode and always, no matter where or when I go to Wikipedia. Yeah. I guess there's no technical reason for that. It's just a feature that was never built. If you have such feature requests, definitely open an issue, and the product engineering team will see it. I guess the idea behind the current feature is you're browsing the web and then you see a page that is broken and switch to desktop mode just to do whatever you wanted to do, and then you switch back. And yeah, I can see that for pages where you always need desktop mode, it can be annoying. I wonder if there's a web extension that can fix that. Sounds like a great job for a web extension instead of a browser feature, maybe. Of course, Firefox Preview doesn't have all web extensions yet. Okay, so the tab loaded. Let's see, YouTube and Wikipedia. Somehow the browser also feels snappier. Now look into that too. Sometimes the desktop mode has more features, or it's just better. Yeah, that is true. The GitHub page is an example of that. Like when I look at pull requests from my phone, sometimes if I want to approve it, I can only do this switching to desktop mode first. Okay, 48 seconds. Let's do the same thing again. We background the app. We go back to the app. Go to YouTube. Okay, I am surprised. It is still broken. And that was on a commit from the 2nd of May, I think. Either for some reason it was fixed exactly only on this day, this specific commit. It was broken before that and after that, but that seems unlikely. Let's try even earlier version just to be sure. Do the Gradle sync again. Probably a false report. Of course, that's possible too. But I think there was even another user confirming this state too. I mean, we could also bisect in Phoenix and go to exactly this version, or we just, let's actually download this version and see ourselves. Need an x86 version. Save. While this is downloading, we can try this in Android Studio. Okay, the download finished. Let's see. Downloads. Just named it not broken APK. Firefox nightly. It's all the other browsers. Okay, backspace. Still doesn't want to sync. YouTube. Let's double check the version. 3rd of May, 6 o'clock. Yeah, that's exactly the build. Let's watch some cat videos. Okay. Fast forward. 2 minutes 39. We go to what is? Okay. Let's do it again. Two minutes and 1 second. We go to Wikipedia. And tab switching works fine. Minutes and 1. Background, we go to gap. Come to Wikipedia. Yeah, this is actually working. It's also clear. Okay, killing the app does not work. But there might be a bug that we later fixed. Let's try again in this older version of sample browser. Gradle sync is completed. If it's only working in Phoenix and never in sample browser, then I'm super confused. Yeah. And this slow Gradle syncing and building of a new checkout is exactly the reason why I didn't want to bisect. While this is going on, we could also look at Phoenix commands in this during that time. But if it worked in Phoenix at some point, then it has to work in sample browser too, I think. Because the code that saves and restores is in Phoenix. It's not in Phoenix, it's in our Android components. Yeah, let's see. Still building. Okay, let's do the whole thing again. And if we do this even more often, then we should write a test that just does it. Okay, video. V6. Wikipedia. Tab switching fine. Back. Still reloading. I think we need to figure out what version of Android components was used in the version of Phoenix that is not bugged. Let's just do this one more time in this build. I want to see this again. Oh no. Clicked some ad, I think. Okay, new tabs. YouTube. There's also some other weird issue, but I think it's emulator related. If I click while the video is loading, then it's just a black screen. Okay, 2 minutes 13. We open a tab, go to Wikipedia. Tab switching is fine. The home screen, back here. YouTube. Yeah, that is working. So let's look at the version. This here should be the commit. Let's check that out. F3 5E CABD. Okay. Let's build a sample browser from that. I guess the expectation is that sample browser should behave exactly the same. It's the same Red Components version. If it does not, then I have no clue at the moment. Waiting for Gradle. While Gradle is doing a thing, we could look at this commit. Android components, commits. See if we can find it. Where is it? Why we find this commit? This commit is from March. Or wow, that is. Wait, is it really March? Is it May? No. Well, maybe the commit. No, the commit should be older. Wow, okay. Gradle is still doing its thing. At least this explains why. Let's see, can I add this here? Commits. Folder. Okay, that doesn't work. Back to Android Studio. Building. All right, we did it. We've built a very old sample browser. Okay, let's try YouTube. And start a video. Oh wow, this is one of those videos. This is from this guy that builds all the things like they did in the past. Like I watched one of those. Okay, Wikipedia, back. 2 minutes, 10 seconds, back to Wikipedia. Store, we go to, yeah, exactly. That's what we wanted to see. So it's working in sample browser 2. This gives us the opportunity to bisect. And at this point, I think it's the only thing that makes possible to find at this point. Because March 4th, that is too long ago to trace back all the changes. So how was the command? Start, and then we say this one is good, and then we go to master. We know this one is bad, and we have 400 revisions that we need to test in 9 steps. So we need to do this roughly 9 times. And I think might continue doing this offline because we have been streaming for an hour now and bisecting is not super exciting. And this allows me to do something else while we bisect. Thank you to all the people that watched this. If you somehow enjoyed this, please click the follow button and let me know, and then we can do this again. Hopefully with a more exciting Barco feature. Well, there's one more question that I can answer. Why do you have pull to refresh? Is there an about config setting for that? No, there's not an about config. So in sample browser, it's always enabled. In reference browser, it's also always enabled. In Firefox Preview, it might be enabled if you install the nightly. I'm not sure about the current state. Maybe it's enabled. It's disabled in most other builds because it's still buggy. And almost all of the bugs might be fixed soon. I think we landed actually today one of the patches that helps with that. There were a lot of issues with different types of web content, like Google Maps scrolling could trigger pull refresh and so on, and that's something you definitely don't want. And I was just painful enough to disable it in all release versions, except maybe nightly. If you look for Firefox Preview nightly on Google Play, that version might have it. Not in nightly yet. Okay. Well, it is an older nightly, so I'm not sure if it's enabled here. But it could be possible that nightly has a setting exposed for that. I'm not sure, to be honest. It's just a custom build. Maybe I've only enabled it in custom builds at the moment. No, not here. See, I think there's also this super secret menu that you can enable. Probably no one should know of. Yeah, no setting. Refresh it. Yeah, okay. It's still not enabled. All right. But I guess we are still ending the stream now, because that will also make my Gradle builds faster, and that's what I will need if I need to do this 9 times now. Again, thank you for watching, and yeah, let's do this again soon.